Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the video lecture series of wireless cellular and 4G LTE module number 1, lecture number 13. So today we will focus more on the coding and interleaving concept. Okay, in that particular, we will try to see how the adaptive modulation is being carried out in LTE system. Okay, now what does this coding and interleaving is all about is okay. Now we have already studied in the previous video lecture series about how actually the communication has been done. Okay, what do you mean by the broadband channel? Very important topics are like what is path loss, what is shadowing, okay, then what do you mean by the cellular concept, okay, and how we try to uh, differentiate between the different cell size and what should be the actual cell shape. Okay, it is a hexagonal. Okay, now when everything is done over here, okay, now the concept here of coding is like almost it is as equivalent to our information theory and coding concept. Okay, where we will try to see about how the coding mechanism is being done in the this particular LTE system, and then how we try to implement by making use of adaptive modulation. Okay, now here when we try to study about the coding concept, okay, there are different types of mechanisms are being carried out in this particular coding concept. Okay, and one type of modulation which we look at here is nothing but it is adaptive modulation. Okay, so what is actually happening is nothing but coding mechanism will be completely focused here in the digital communication. Okay, we know actually that there are two different types of communication can be done. One is your analog and is nothing but the digital. Okay, now what is the necessary of coding? What do you mean by interleaving? Okay, now what actually happens here is when you try to transmit the whole information over the transmitter, okay, through a wireless channel, there may be possibility that your information may get corrupted. Okay, your information may get lost because of the multipath, because of fading and other different type of procedures. Okay, now when the signal get received at the receiver side, okay, now the problem here is you may not receive the whole complete information. Okay, or when you try to transmit the signal, okay, and when it get digitized, okay, there may be possibility that you may not have the proper bits. Okay, there may be some error because of some environmental changes. Okay, so therefore we try to include the concept of error control coding, okay, or information coding. Okay, where we need to we just try to focus on which information has been corrupted, or which block of which bits of that particular block has been corrupted. Okay, or whether it is do that particular information has some kind of noise. Okay, so for that we try to go for finding the syndrome vector. We try to find the error into the digital bits. Okay, then we try to rectify it. Okay, or we try to send a request for the transmitter that resend the information again. That is called as repeat request, or repeat requesting for the retransmission. Okay, but requesting for the retransmission again itself has a deep meaning. Okay, we cannot request for the whole information to be transmitted. Okay, it takes more amount of time, where again there will be a time of delay will be problem, delay spread may occur. Again there may be possibility that there may be a multipath. Okay, so therefore here what does actually this particular coding is nothing but coding is nothing but we try to focus more on the errors here. Okay, do we have that some kind of error, so that we can try to put some bits, that is forward correction bits or some cyclic bits or some kind of redundancy bits. Okay, just to have the more efficiency towards at the receiver. Okay, so this particular ECC, that is also called as error control correction codes or error correction codes, which are also known as forward error correction. We try to make the correction in the block. Okay, we will not correct the whole information. Okay, we'll try to see where there is a problem, and then we try to do it. On how this can be done by just simply introducing the redundancy bit. Okay, we know what do you mean by the redundancy bit. Okay, that is nothing but we try to add some bits to the information, that is some kind of the start bits and stop bits, or sometimes some cyclic redundancy bits. Okay, so that the information once it is received we may just stop. Okay, but it has to be done at the transmitters to allow the receiver to recover the input signal. Okay, we cannot do at the receiver side. We have this error correction or forward correction bits are to be added at the transmitter side, not at the receiver side. Okay, because even if the receiver gets the signal, okay, improper signal has been received at the receiver, then the receiver may request for the transmission of those particular bits. And there is another thing is like, we cannot say that 100% information will be received at the signal. There may be problem with the degradation in the attenuation. Okay, there may be some kind of interferences, or there may be some kind of noise. So many problems may occur at the wireless channel part. So therefore, we try to go for coding techniques. Okay, so the coding rate which is given by R should be less than or equal to 1. Okay, it is just like the probability. Okay? Your probability value should not be greater than or greater than 1. It should be less than or equal to 1. Okay, such that you may try to find out the where actually the particular error is, and where what should be the output rate of error. Okay, sometimes it may be 1/3 of the code. It means that 3 times of the original data. Okay, so this is how we try to more focus on the transmitter side, not rather than receiver side. Okay, this is how we do the coding part in the wireless channel, so that there will not be much kind of any error. Now there is one thing again here which we will focus here in the figure 2.2 is nothing but you can see here what we have done, what we try to do here is nothing but we just try to go for the convolution code. Okay, this is another mechanism where we can implement in the LTE system, or which has been designed in defined in the LTE system in broadcasting the channel part. Okay, so what we try to do here is we try to take the input bits and we try to take some other redundancy bits. Okay, and then we try to just check the length of the code. Okay, for example, if you look at this here in figure number 2.2, the rate is 1/3 convolution encoder, but which is defined by the LTE for the broadcast channel. Okay, so here in this broadcast channel, we try to take the rate of 1/3 code. Okay, and since there is only one input, okay, that is one input bit, that is CK. So here CK is nothing but 1 bit data to be applied to the convolution encoder, and 3 output data, that is DK0, DK1 and DK2. So 1 input and 2 outputs. So here you can see this is the CK, it is only 1 bit, and here we have 3, that is outputs. This is my output. Okay, and the numbers are all octal, they are octal numbers. Okay, so what should be the code, what will be the length of the code here is nothing but it is equal to 7. Okay, because this is 3 plus or you can just take it in the other way. Okay, just like with the delay number of delay elements, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So 6 delay element possibility are nothing but 64 possibility states we can generate. Okay, by making use of this particular delay elements. Okay, and there is a generator here. Okay, so generator polynomial, it is represented by G. Okay, here you can see it is a G. Okay, it is known as generator polynomial. So this particular generator polynomial, okay, it consists of the values depending upon the 3 outputs of DK. Okay, or you can say one we have taken as 1 divided by 3, that is 0, 1, 2, 0, 1 and 2. So 0, 1 and 2 means your G0. If I take I is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, so it will be like G0, G1 and G2. So 3 outputs we can take it here. Okay, so for example, if G0 is equal to 133 in the binary form, how we try to represent here is nothing but 1011 okay, where a 0 means the output does not include a tap, and 1 means it includes a tap. Okay, so this is how they just try to figure out how this can be done in the convolution code. Okay, so different mechanisms are also possible in this particular LTE system, where the focus will be more on how much efficiency, how much quality of service we can give it to the subscriber. Okay, no doubt at the transmitter side we try to encode all the things, all the possibility things, okay, which is required for the efficient transmission. Okay, so once you do this at the broadcast channel part by making use of convolution encoder, then the another job what we need to do is nothing but we need to go in the reverse order, that is we need to decode it. Okay, so decoding mechanism is just like your demodulation process. Okay, so your original information, whatever it is transmitted, that is the value of CK, it has to be retrieved back at the receiver side. Okay, so if I say that CK is my transmitted data and DK is my the modulated data or the encoded data, so this encoded data will be transmitted through a wireless broadband channel, okay, by making use of convolution codes. Then once it is received, this DK will be input to the system and CK will be the output of the system. Okay, so the very most basic common demodulation technique which is used here is for the convolution code, especially when it is a convolution code. Then here you can just look at here. Okay, so it is nothing but a sliding window. Okay, it's another type of a demodulation process, a convolution demodulation you can say, or convolution codes, a decoding technique. It is nothing but sliding window mechanism. Okay, so again, when you try to study the error control coding part, okay, where there we can see how the convolution coding can be used by making use of sliding window technique, because in the digital communication, okay, there are different types of mechanisms are used at the demodulation part. Okay, again, and also for the transmitter part we have turbo encoder. Okay, then we have the one of the very best technique where we can go for the retrieving of data is nothing but the Viterbi decoder. Okay, so Viterbi decoder or the Viterbi algorithm, it's a one type of an algorithm where the input to the system which was given will be in the form of convolution code. Okay, and this Viterbi algorithm, it will be just like a tree type of structure also. Okay, and apart from the Viterbi algorithm, there is also possibility that we can make use of turbo codes. Okay, so turbo codes also increases the resilience of the error through an iterative decoding. Okay, it means that there are different type of methodologies are being adopted by trial and error method, and making it as a case study that which type of decoding mechanism will give the proper result. Okay, which type of methodology gives us the proper reading or the proper information at the receiver side. Okay, we cannot guarantee that only one or two different methodologies will give the proper information. Okay, but the more focus will be like the properly mechanism which is used in the algorithm. Maybe it may be a Viterbi decoder or it can be your turbo codes. Okay, so this is how this is all about just a basic fundamental which is required for the coding mechanism or the coding part. Okay, but there is another methodology which we try to adopt in the wireless communication is called as automatic repeat request. Okay, not necessarily it is used of not necessarily it is used always. Okay, it is only used when there is some kind of system requirement. Okay, so here it is automatic repeat request. In short, it is known as ARQ. Okay, it's one type of a technique which is used in the wireless communication system. Okay, which is included in the LTE system. Okay, that is called automatic repeat request. There is there is another mechanism where we focus on hybrid ARQ, which is called as hybrid automatic repeat request. Okay, now here what we try to do here is in the ARQ method. Okay, there is a layer. Okay, we have already we have the basic fundamental knowledge about the layers. Okay, or either we have the OSI model. Okay, we have TCP IP models are there. Okay, and again we have different headers are there in the communication. Okay, now one thing is like we have we know the fundamental of LTE is, which says that we make use of an IP protocol. Okay, either it can be IPv4 or IPv6, but more focus will be on our IPv6. Okay, so in that IPv format we have a MAC layer. Okay, we have a MAC protocol which is responsible for the retransmission. Okay, now the question here is why the retransmission is required. Okay, what happens if my system do not request for the information. Okay, because in the wireless communication there is a possibility that your information get lost because of the multipath fading or because of some local scattering in. Okay, so because of that your whole information will not be received properly at the receiver. So therefore we try to go for retransmission only on request. It cannot be like it is not always. Okay, it is automatic repeat request. Automatic repeat request is nothing but it will check if the bits are received properly, or else or if the packets are not received, or if the packet have some kind of error, then it has to be quickly retransmitted. Okay, it should not wait for the acknowledgement. Okay, so such type of protocols are being there in the whole layer. Okay, and usually your information will pass through the physical layer. Okay, by making use of some kind of a parity check. okay, so that there will be an reliable transmission of the data, okay, through the channel. Okay, now if even if the single bit error has been occurred in a packet, okay, then with the help of this particular ARQ mechanism, okay, the retransmission can be retransmission can be done. Okay, and the other thing is nothing but we also try to improve the inefficiency, okay, which has been occurred because of this particular error, or you can say because of some noise. Okay, now there is another method which says that hybrid ARQ. Now hybrid ARQ make use of the two concepts here. One is ARQ, another is called FEC. Okay, why we try to switch for the hybrid ARQ is nothing but just to avoid the wastage. Okay, just to avoid the wastage of the packets or the combining of the received packets. Okay, so therefore just to extract the additional time diversity in the fading channel, we go for hybrid ARQ. Okay, now in hybrid ARQ, there is a channel encoder. Okay, though we have an encoder at the transmitter side or at the receiver side, but we have the encoder at the channel part. Okay, so we have a HARQ at the channel part, okay, which can be either your convolution code or it can be your turbo code. Okay, and why this convolution codes and the turbo codes are used is nothing but just to generate the additional redundancy to the information bit. Though we have the information bits at the transmitter side also, it is actually done at the transmitter side. Okay, the only requirement why we go for the channel encoder is nothing but just to increase the efficiency by adding some additional redundancy bit. There is nothing lost in adding the additionally redundancy bit. Okay, so therefore instead of transmitting all the encoded bits, okay, systematic bits plus redundancy bits, only a fraction of the encoded bits are transmitted. Okay, it is just like, for example, if you have an information where we can where we can divide the whole information into 10 blocks. Okay, so rather than transmitting the whole information at a stretch, we transmit it into the blocks. Okay, one block. Okay, so it is known as fraction of encoded bits. Okay, and this can be done by puncturing some of the encoded bits to create a effective code rate greater than the native code rate to the encoder. Okay, puncturing is nothing but adding something bits to that particular packets or particular to that information. Okay, and why we go for puncturing of this particular encoded bit is nothing but once the information which is being transmitted, okay, and it has to wait for the acknowledgement from the receiver telling that whether the receiver was able to receive the successful coded information or not. Okay, if the receiver was able to decode the information very properly, then nothing has to be done. Okay, if your receiver is not able to decode it properly, or if it is not able to receive the proper decoded information, then the receiver can send another copy of the encoded bits. Okay, so this is called as an hybrid mechanism which has been done in this particular LTE system. Okay, now the very most important part of this particular discussion will be your adaptive modulation and coding mechanism. Okay, so there is, you can just look at this particular block diagram. Okay, it has a transmitter and one receiver. We apply some input bits which are in this particular queuing mechanism, queue part. Okay, they will be in the queue one after the another. Then we have an ECC encoder, that is error correction code encoder. We have a symbol mapper, we have the power control, and everything will be done at the adaptive modulation and coding control part. Okay, so we select the code, we select the consistency, then we select the P of T of gamma. Okay, and then this is the channel, that is nothing but where we have signal to noise interference ratio. This is the feedback from the estimation channel, demodulation, decoder, and output bits. Okay, what is adaptive modulation? Okay, so one type of a modulation which has been employed in the LTE system. It means that we make use of this particular modulation technique. Okay, just like what we have seen is nothing but your LTE mechanism makes use of OFDM, right? So when it comes to the OFDM mechanism or OFDM modulation, okay, there is another modulation which we may focus here is nothing but adaptive modulation. So adaptive modulation, in adaptive modulation, where your advantage of the fluctuation in the channel over the time and frequency can be handled very properly. Okay, there may be possibility that there will be a change in the, or there is a fluctuation in the channel over the time and frequency, because it's a completely time and frequency based concept. Okay, now it's a very simple thing to understand in the adaptive modulation is that we make use of the high bit rate transmission. We don't require any very low transmission of information. We try to focus more on high data rate. Okay, it is possibly such that your channel should be very good. Okay, and again, when it comes to the excess dropped off packets, your channel should be handle it very properly. Okay, there may be possibility that the information or the packet may get lost in the wireless channel. Okay, so therefore the lower data rates are achieved by using a small constellation such as the QPSK, that is quadrature phase shift keying. It's a digital modulation technique. Okay, and low data rate correcting codes, which is usually 1/3 of turbo codes. That is what we have seen in the above concepts. Okay, so when it comes to the higher data rates, it can achieved by large constellation. So please remember, if you are having a low data rate in the LTE system, then you should go for a small constellation with a QPSK type of modulation mechanism or shift keying. And when it's the low rate data rate, okay, low rate error or low data rate, usually we go for turbo codes. Okay, so and if the data rate is high, okay, it can be achieved by the large constellation with 64 bit of quadrature amplitude modulation, but the less robust error correcting codes. Okay, so this is how we try to see in adaptive modulation. And when you look at this particular block diagram here, just to perform this type of modulation, okay, the transmitter must have some kind of knowledge of the instantaneous channel part. It means that it is obvious that all the time you take any of the communication system, okay, there's the transmitter should have the proper information, okay, about it, or at least we should know the channel information. Okay, why the channel information is required is nothing but based on the channel discussion or based on the channel, okay, we try to select which type of modulation technique will be better for high data rate transmission. Okay, and with less bit error rate. There should not be any kind of bit error rate, or you can say the packet rate error. No doubt there is a possibility that we may encounter some kind of bit error rate or packet error rate, but it should not be more. So therefore, first thing what we need to focus more on the adaptive modulation is we need to see what is which type of channel and what is the channel gain. So based on the channel gain, we try to select the modulation technique. Okay, and also not only the modulation technique, we also try to focus more on the coding mechanism. Okay, which type of coding is possible? Either we can go for the channel encoding convolution codes, or either we can go for the another type of coding tech, and that is called as the turbo codes. Okay, so two types of coding can be selected based on the channel information. Okay, and the another thing what we can see in this particular adaptive modulation is nothing but if we try to see the constellation alphabets, okay, where the size, if the size of this particular size, if the size increases, okay, then the bit error rate may also increase, and the data rate will be proportional to the log to the base 2 of m. Okay, it means that larger the size, okay, the higher the bitrate, okay, and the throughput will be maximized. Okay, so this is how we try to select the modulation mechanism. Okay, now when you look at this particular block diagram, okay, so in the block diagram we try to transmit the bits, okay, by making use of the error correcting codes. Okay, it means that we add some codes by pensering, okay, by adding some decoding bits so that when it received at the receiver it will be properly received. Okay, and once it is transmitted, we need to also assure that there should not be any kind of possibility of fade. There should not be any kind of more signal to noise ratio or interference ratio. Okay, no doubt there is a possibility that your signal to noise ratio may occur because of fading. Okay, so therefore the goal of the transmitter is to transmit the data in the form of Q. Okay, you cannot transmit the whole information at a stretch. We try to do the transmission in terms of block or in terms of packets, okay, such that even if the one block get faded, then we can go for the retransmission. Okay, so the retransmission will be only possible if we have some particularly feedback is achieved. Okay, so this is how the adaptive modulation takes place in the LTE mechanism. Okay, now you can see here in figure number 2.5 how the throughput versus the signal to noise ratio is achieved. Okay, so if we try to take the best constellation diagram, okay, this is the constellation diagram and the coding configuration for each signal to noise ratio. That is nothing but if my rate is 1/2, I go for QPSK. If it is 3/4, again QPSK. Okay, if it is rate is 1/2, again I can go for the 16 type of QA mechanism. Okay, the graph just goes on increasing in a different fashion, but it completely depends upon the which type of mechanism you are trying to adopt. Okay, and how much type of configuration you try to adopt in this particular adaptive modulation mechanism. Okay, so now there are few consideration has to be listed out when you go for adaptive modulation mechanism. Okay, or when you go for the coding mechanism. The first is nothing but PER and the received signal to noise ratio. Okay, in adaptive modulation, the transmitter needs to know the statistic and the instantaneous channel part. Okay, and from which it can determine the type of coding and the strategy which has to be adopted for the transmission. Okay, then your adaptive modulation should have an automatic repeat request mechanism where it can go for the retransmission, or either it may have the hybrid part. Okay, but the only thing is it may increase your ideal PER. Okay, and it is usually from 1% to 10%. It means that there should not be any kind of a delay, but even if the delay occurs, it should have the delay tolerance. It's just like 1 to 10% of the delay is acceptable, but it should not be greater than the 1 to 10%. Okay, if the percentage of the PER if it is more, then there is a possibility that you may have some congestion in the channel, and hence your whole transmission get fails, and you may receive some packets which are completely error. Then the next is nothing but power control. Okay, how there should be a balanced power control. Okay, at the transmitter or receiver, or it may be a balanced consumption of the power. Okay, the only policy here what we can try to adopt for the power control is, instead of using one channel, try to go for the parallel channel or the multi channel. Okay, this mechanism of parallel channel, it is also known as water filling strategy. Okay, water filling strategy is just like if you take one pipe to fill one bucket, the time required will be more. If you take 2 to 3 pipes simultaneously, then the approach will be more simple, and hence the bucket will fill more fast. So therefore it is also called as water filling strategy. Okay, so more if the power is allocated, the channel will be more strong, and if the less power is allocated, the channel will be weak. Okay, and the last is nothing but adaptive modulation in OFDM. So if your system is an OFDM system, then the allocated blocks will be the blocks which we try to divide them. It will be allocated to different types of subcarriers, because in OFDM we make use of the subcarriers mechanism, and this will have the different signal to noise interference ratio. So therefore the method of modulation and the coding will be chosen based on varying SNR. It means that all the different subcarriers may not adopt the same coding mechanism or same modulation mechanism. It depends on how we try to focus more, or how we try to divide the subcarriers. Okay, so with this, the concept of adaptive modulation and the coding and how interleaving has been done in the LTE system has been carried out. Okay, so with this I conclude my today's video lecture. So in the next video lecture, we'll see about how actually the diversity plays an important role, and how the broadband fading is been done, and what are the different types of broadband fading is there in LTE system. Okay, so with this I conclude my today's lecture of adaptive modulation and interleaving code. Thank you.